Good morning, welcome to this weekly market update from MRC Markets. There's the 12th of June 2013. What we'll do today is go through some technical analysis on Euro Dollar Cable, Dollar Swiss, Dollar Yen, Euro Pound and Pound Swiss. Just going to go through some technical analysis, have a look at a few setups that I may have posted on Twitter, which will hopefully be useful for you. We're not making any trade calls recommendations in this video. You trade at your own risk. If you could please read our full disclaimer on our website www.mrcmarkets.com. For any new followers out there, we have 3 moving averages in each of these charts. The red one is a 50 simple moving average, the blue is a 100 simple moving average, and the gold is a 200 simple moving average. Okay, let's have a look at the Euro Dollar charts. This is the weekly chart. We'll have a look at this for a bit of perspective. We've spoken about this a few times. It's good to keep it in mind for context. You still have 2 fib moves still technically in play here, so the seller's coming in at 50%, and that 200 week moving average trying to bring price back down to the 1.20s level. And you also have the fib from lows to highs here, which is still technically in play, coming in off the 50%. And the 50 week moving average trying to grind higher. We had a weekly candlestick close last week, so this is still technically in play. We've obviously got the 200 week moving average there, which will be a first hurdle, and this setup will be trying to push up towards the 1.37. So the bulls and bears have definitely got their cases to argue for in terms of the weekly chart. If we flip down to the daily, then you can see, sorry, did I speak about this on the weekly chart? No, I didn't know. Yeah, this is on the daily chart, and we have the sellers initially came in here at the 50% retracement around here where I'm hovering over the cursor, try to bring that down, but the bulls came back in to make higher lows here. And this has now come up. You can see we're testing this 61.8% retracement now. It's 1.3341. The sellers will try and bring this back down. So daily close would be quite interesting today. If we have a reversal candle, then we'd be surprised to see it continue to drop off. But it has been quite bullish really this last sort of week. If you flip it down to the 4 hour, you've got a lovely little uptrend here. Played off a nice fib move down here from lows to highs, right after 50%. That rotated higher than the highs, which were previous resistance. Well, didn't react as resistance, but you can see that previous high there, which was resistance. Sorry, acted as support here and brought this pair higher. So if we do get a sell-off, or a retracement even, then fib that I'll be looking out for personally, a lot of other people I'm sure will be this one here from the lows to the highs. The lows are 1.2796 to the highs of 1.3356. So 1.3335. Sorry. If we come back down, you can see the 200-day moving average is around here at the 50% level, at the 1.65. So if it does retrace, I'd keep an eye out for that personally. And yeah, that's pretty much it really on the. I mean, you'd be a very brave man to sort of buy at these sort of levels, because it does seem quite toppy to me in my opinion, and I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of healthy retracement at some point. So I mean, the 1 hour chart isn't really that interesting for me, to be honest with you. When I posted this yesterday on Twitter, we had a nice little dip there, lows to highs 50%, that got bought up off the 50 SMA as well and rotated higher. But and you can see, I think this current one here, I'll just zoom in quickly. This is another sort of dip here, which is currently testing the 50% as well. We've got some sort of reversal there. Well, that was a red candle body, so some people would be sure buying off of that, but I don't personally like it. It's buying too much of a higher dip in my opinion. I prefer some sort of healthy retracement and look at the bigger picture here. And for me, the bigger picture is that it looks like it wants to come down and retrace, in my opinion. Okay, let's have a look at the cable chart. I left this up from last week. Last video. This is the weekly chart, a really good chart for perspective. It's been playing the fibs so well from this original move from the lows to the highs up here, the 1.35 lows to the 1.70 highs. You see we had some really good support at the previous 50%, It failed to take off higher to the 0%. Also, if you had a 78.6, and that's the 78.6 there, so it's been really, really technical. And you can currently see we had this bounce off here of the 61.8, and it's trying to make a move higher. So in terms of big fibs, this is technically still in play, and we'll look to the big, long swing players will be looking to take this all the way up here to the 170s. Of course, that's a long, long way away. But what you do have on the other side is a smaller one here, which is we've been talking about the daily chart. This one here from the highs to lows. Sellers came at the 50% hit to try to bring it back down, but the buyers came back in. We had a lovely, I'll just zoom in quickly, we had a lovely couple of reversal candles here, nice bit of lower wicks, and it brought the pair higher, especially last week, nice bullish week. But we're currently testing this 50 SMA here. I mean, you can see last week's candle closed below this 50% and had a decent upper wick. It got capped at the 50 SMA, and you can see this week it's it's currently testing this 50 SMA. So the weekly candle close will be very interesting this week. And you can also see this fib clear on the daily. You can see that lovely resistance around there, this 50% at the one spot, 55, 199, so it's got a 156 handle. And we had plenty of daily candlesticks testing this level and closing below, but yesterday's daily candle closed above, so maybe it wants to come up, and maybe the next sort of target would be the 61.8, in my opinion. In terms of the shorter term time frames, nothing massively of interest. Unless you get, I mean, you could always keep them playing all these dips, but they're not. I think they're sort of playing off 38.2s really, so no 50% or 61.8s that I personally prefer. And of course, if we do get a healthy retracement, then similar to Euro, I'd be looking at this fib here. So from these lows to maybe if the high is already here, or it could grind up higher, but I'd be definitely looking at that low for a buying opportunity. Dollar Swiss, this is the weekly chart here. We're currently sitting on this 100 week moving average. Last week's weekly candle quite bearish, although we do have a lower wick there, so off the 100 SMA. So some people will be saying, some people will definitely be thinking that that's technically a bullish candle, but I've seen much more bullish candles in my in the time here. But the wicks do speak volume. So we're initially starting this week coming back down, but we wouldn't be surprised to see it come back up in the end of the week to form a similar sort of candle as last week. Let's have a look at the daily chart. The daily chart hasn't been too great. We had this fib here from lows to highs that played out. So then a lot of the fib players or dip buyers would have been then looking from the low of that to the high there, and this fib didn't play out. We got an initial reaction of 50% there, popped up a bit, so you could have got your stop at break even or whatever. And then this one here bounced off the 61.8 a little bit, but then broke down lower. So then other fib players would have been looking at this one here from the sort of low to the high. You can see it clearer there on the weekly as well. And there's that initial reaction there at 50%. So if you put a penny order in at the 50%, you probably could have got your stop at break even. But it's just broken down really. So, but it is playing off this level here. That is the key level. So the fib is not in play really, in my opinion. It's all about this level, which is the 92.23s level. So have some decent action there, which was previous support. You can see these few daily candlesticks have tested this level, and it's trying to get a little bit of a bounce, especially in today's candle already. So it's all about that level for me on the dollar Swiss chart. Of course, if you're looking at fibs, sellers will most probably be looking at this fib here from the highs to the lows. If we start to get a bounce, then that 50% comes out at 0.9532s, which is also a previous sort of level here. You can see the candlesticks reacted to it quite nicely. And also it's the previous, kind of coincides with those previous highs around there, so previous resistance as well. So that could be an interesting level if we do pop up. Of course, we're still a long way away from that. Dollar yen. starting to get that retracement. We've been saying it's been due a retrace, but of course it's people have been buying these shorter term dips. I'm not personally a fan of all those shorter term dips. It's very tricky to pick. But in terms of the weekly, you can look at that fib there, or this fib from the low, but of course we're a long way away from that yet. So in terms of daily, nothing really excites me on this daily chart, to be honest with you. And the 4 hour, nothing in particular there. I mean that was a nice fib there after 61.8. Sellers would have got in and brought that down. And then actually that fib there from the highs to lows, it's sort of got a front run at the 50% of the 99.35s, so people most probably selling at the 99 handle. 99 handle acted pretty decently there, so that's what people are selling on this dollar yen chart, but not massively technical. It's just been it looks a bit indecisive, to be honest with you. Chopping around a bit, not amazing actually. I mean, it looks like, if you look at that weekly chart, it looks like it's due a retracement, and it is obviously starting to retrace, so maybe we will get a bigger retracement, but nothing. It hasn't been too technical for me to personally like the pair. I think there's more interesting pairs out there. Euro sterling's been interesting from a selling point of view. It's starting to get quite bearish. You can see yesterday's daily candle. Zooming in quickly there, very bearish candle there off that 100 SMA. But although it did close above the 50 SMA, but you can see we're really starting to fall through here. We had some UK data at 9:30, which was nice and bullish, and that's helping the euro sterling come down a bit. In terms of the fibs, you had this one here from the highs to the lows off the 50%. Sellers come in there, brought that pair down to the 0%, which was the low, but it failed to break lower. Yeah, it's not really a fib there, although it kind of does coincide with that previous high. I mean, if you want to look at it in terms of levels, then you can see that 85s was the level there to sell at on the euro sterling, and it looks like it wants to come down to test these lows, to be honest with you, at 83.95. So that's the key level to look at. If we do come down, see what happens here at those lows. It is looking very heavy indeed. In terms of shorter term time frames, nothing massive of interest, although I'm sure this was a fib here. Yeah, bang on there to the 61.8, the highs to the lows, pretty much to the tick there. 85.51s. Sellers came in, brought that down. We've taken out this low here at the 0% line. So very technical action there on that 4 hour chart. It'll be interesting to see what happens if we do come down to 0%. It could get quite ugly if we do break those lows there. Pound Swiss has been an interesting chart. I posted this chart up on Twitter yesterday. So we basically have a double confluence here. First of all, we have the trendline support, and we also have this fib here. So the recent dip. I mean, the first dip wasn't off of 50%, I don't think. Well, it was off the 61.8s, although you would have had to have a wide stop. But in terms of, let's say you just look at candle formations, or wait for a daily candle formation, that's a lovely reversal candle there, which closed above the 61.8 there. So you don't always have to play fibs off of pending orders or levels. You can wait for for candlestick reversals, and you can see here that this high is acting as decent support as well. But also what you have, so if you extend that fib there, you have bam off the 50% and 100-day moving average, and also this recent swing here is also off of a 50% as well. Let's take the 61.8s off here so you can see it clearer. Give me 2 seconds. Yeah, so the first one here, you have bam right for 50%, pretty much to the tick there, and this 100-day moving average. Don't forget, nice bit of confluence. And then if you draw the second one, right off it as well, 50%. So this sort of range two 50%, lovely confluence there. I'll just change the colour of that. So there's a lovely little buying area there of the double 50% confluence level and trendline support and 100-day moving average. So very, very technical move here. Very, very technical indeed. You can see we're just trying to get above the 50-day moving average here, and it's looking like it wants to rotate higher, and it may take a stab at the highs here at one spot 48.18 there. But no, very, very technical chart. You don't get much more technical than that. And also, yeah, got a nice sort of reversal candles here, decent lower wicks here. I mean, a lot of people would have bought off that one, I would have thought. And it popped up a little bit, but it has come back down. But if you put your stops just below this sort of 50% here, or 61.8, what have you, then there's no reason why it shouldn't be in the setup if you originally traded it. So, no, interesting chart that. Okay, that is all for today. If there's any other pairs you want to have a look at, that you want me to have a look at next week, then feel free to comment under the YouTube video that I'll post up soon. Also, I'll stick this out on Twitter as well. So yeah, if there's any other page you want to have a look at, then feel free to send us a tweet as well on our Twitter feed at MRC_markets. Hope you have a great rest of the week, and I'll catch you next week. Thanks for listening. Hope you found that useful. Thanks.